As we inch closer and closer to the 2024 season, I think it's pretty clear that Kirby Smart wants to see more out of his secondary. He wants to see a lot more improvement from that group by the time they play Clemson in just under 2 weeks in Atlanta. Here's what Kirby Smart had to say last week when asked about his secondary. He said, they've got a long way to go, right? Pretty simple. We don't have a lot of proven playmakers. They have to prove it by how they play. They've got to have better eye control. We've got to tackle much better. We did not tackle very well, talking about the last scrimmage last Saturday. We didn't run to the ball and punch the ball out at the level we need to. I got a lot of confidence in the players in the secondary. They have to do it in live action. Scrimmage this Saturday, practices every day to get where they really are comfortable. That's what he was talking about. Now, I'll say it right now. 95% of teams out there would trade their secondary for Georgia's. It is talented. It is loaded with very good players, but it's not loaded with experience. Yes, they've got Dalen Everett at cornerback, who's a multi-year starter. Yes, they have Malachi Starks, one of the best safeties, maybe the best safety in all of college football. He's a leader. He's a possible top 15 pick. He is a guy who is one of the best defensive backs, period, in the game right now. You've got Dan Jackson, who's been in the program, it feels like forever, right? Other than that, you've got a lot of young, hungry, talented kids who are ready to see the field. We saw a little bit of Jalen Humphrey at cornerback, and we saw a little bit of Daniel Harris. Again, I've said it all offseason, I am a big Daniel Harris guy. I love the swagger, the size that he brings. He's a South Florida kid. I think he is really impressive, looks the part, and I think plays it too. He's a confident kid with enough speed and ball skills with that size that I think could have a really nice year. He's got, I think, Julian Humphrey in front of him, though. That's the speedster from Texas who played a little bit last year. And then Dalen Everett, who struggled some, right, time to time last year. He's a bigger cornerback who, can still work on the fundamentals and staying in the hip pocket of those receivers. But there were times when he got turned around, but you would expect him to be better next year. And we talked about the freshmen, KJ Bolden at safety, Ellis Robinson at cornerback, DeMello Jones at cornerback. We've talked about Janelle Aguero, a guy the staff is very high on at safety. But if you're Kirby Smart, dude's a tyrant, right? He's a former defensive back. He works closer, I want to say closely, but he works closer with that group than any of the other groups on the team, right? He's a former safety. He knows exactly what he wants out of these guys. And while they are very talented, and I think they're going to be very good, Kirby Smart knows that that's the last line of defense. If you mess up in the secondary, boom, that's points. You're giving away. You have to know exactly what you're doing in the secondary, and you've got to make plays. Now, he said we don't have a lot of proven playmakers. He's definitely got one in Malachi Starks, right? That's clear. Dan Jackson has made plays before, but we don't even know if he's going to start, right? But he is an experienced guy. Kirby Smart's never going to say, oh, I love our secondary. They're great. They're right where I need them to be. I guess he could have said that last year. Well, he did say that about specific players in last year's secondary. But this year, if Kirby Smart had to say one position group that is keeping him up at night, it looks like it's the secondary, because they're going to go against really good offenses this year. We'll see if Clemson can do much offensively. I don't think they will, but they're going to be tested against Alabama and Texas and Ole Miss, right? Possibly Tennessee. The secondary is going to get tested in a way that or more consistently throughout the year than they have been in years past. Kirby Smart knows that, and he knows that he's got multiple guys who are going to be starting for the first time. He's a little nervous right now, but I think overall, he's just being a coach. He's still, if you're not worrying, you're not coaching, right? He knows that. He wants to fine-tune that secondary. It should be a very good group. I'm going to talk about more other position groups because Kirby Smart had a lot to say to reporters last week. But first, got to do it. collegefronts.com. That's where you can get this Bulldog statue right here, 35 pounds of stone. It's the best looking, most detailed Georgia Bulldog statue on the market today. This is the only place where you can get a discount, okay? In the description below in this video is where you can order. And when you order, use promo code DOGPOST for the discount, DAWGPOST. You want this bad boy on your front porch when Georgia plays Clemson and maybe beats them by 100 points, right? It can happen, and you want your Bulldog out there letting your neighbors know that you pull for the dogs. It's selling season, so get it today so you get it by the time Georgia plays Clemson in a couple weeks. Made in Roswell, Georgia. Local business, small business. Help your boy out. Get your Bulldog today. I've talked about the linebackers in another video, the defensive line. I've talked about the running backs, but we're gonna talk about some offensive linemen right now and the progression of a really important defensive lineman. So someone asked Kirby Smart about some of the young offensive linemen. Remember, Georgia signed 7 of them last year. They signed 7 guys with size, big dudes. Here's what he had to say. He was asked specifically about Jamal Merriweather, who's a former 3-star tackle from Brunswick High School. Jazair Jackson, the former basketball player who played with Bronny James, turned football player, like 6'11", I think 6'10", 6'11", 340 pounds or so. The specifics are over on Dog Post. And Daniel Calhoun, a guy that I saw a lot of in high school. He was one of the best players I saw all last season. He is a very, very good player that has a promising future in Athens. But Kirby said, yeah, all 3 of those guys, Jamal, Jazair, Daniel, yeah, they all have gone with the 2s and 3s. Daniel Calhoun has probably gone a little more with the 2s with Jared Wilson's injury and moving guys around, where the other guys have gone with the 2s and 3s. I don't think I said that properly, but again, I'm not the best reader, okay? Sometimes I got to read my notes. Sometimes I got to read quotes. It doesn't come out perfectly. It just is what it is. They continue to get better. They need to. They're still considered young offensive linemen in our program, and that's the hardest place to play besides quarterback in the SEC. There's nowhere you will get exposed more than on the offensive line. So those guys are going to continue to get better and develop. They all have size on their side. You can't teach size. You can add muscle and kind of teach that into someone's, workout program or their diet, whatever. You can't teach length, you can't teach height, and you can't teach kind of natural size, right? These guys have it. So now these young kids are not going to be asked to play anytime soon. Spoon? I just said spoon, meant to say soon. It's early. I've only had 1 cup of coffee so far. But let's keep digging into it, right, before I slip over some other words. This offensive line is very good. That's what I'm trying to say. These freshmen don't need to play, especially this year when you've got a lot of experienced guys, multi-year starters, returning starters coming back. So this offensive line is very, very good. It's full of those experienced veteran guys. But these young kids are really starting to up into my eyes. I heard a lot of good things about Marquise Easley, and Daniel Calhoun's a guy I've heard about for a while. They brought in Jazair Jackson. Hopefully I'll say his first name right at some point. I don't know what it is. I've been tricked up on a lot of names in this 24 and 25 class. That's on me. I got to get better. You're either a leader, you're not. And sometimes I'm not, unfortunately, when I'm trying to pronounce the names of some of these young men who are now playing for the Dogs. Got to get better, and I will. So just a quick little tidbit on the offensive line. I want to mention this too, because someone asked him about Jamal Jarrett, who is a really important player because that's the guy they want to turn into Jordan Davis. Just the massive just rock right in the middle of their defensive line, eating up double teams, right? Closing those running lanes between the tackles, making things easier for everyone around him. A guy that you just can't move backwards, right? That's who they want him to be. And Kirby Smart said, John's been really good. His weight has been up and down. I think it's something that he knows and he's trying to work on. He has moments, flashes of being able to help us, and we need help at that position in terms of depth because we've got injuries at those positions. I think he's getting better. He's more dependable. He has a little more stamina, but there's still an area of improvement that he's got to be able to play in more consecutive snaps. That's what we challenge him to do each and every day. So I read that one pretty good, right? That was an improvement. Kids just got to get into better shape and continue to learn, continue to develop. Jordan Davis wasn't Jordan Davis his second year. He got better and better and, left Athens an absolute superstar. But he was a game changer. He was a difference maker. Jamal Jarrett has that ability. He's got that potential, but he's not there yet. This is just year 2. But you want to see an improvement, right? Especially with that stamina, the conditioning. He's been in the program for a year and a half now. I believe he was a mid-year when he got there last year. But that's a guy they think they can turn into a very impactful, dominant interior defensive lineman. That's their plan for him, and we'll see if he gets that done. But I do think it's important we see some improvement, from him, or flashes of, improvement throughout the season. If he's a guy that they think he can be. We'll see. It's just year 2. Not the end of the world, but they do need depth there, and he's a guy they are very high on. So thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. You can read all of this and more over on Dog Post. Now's the time to sign up to the newsletter. Now's the time to be a member of Dog Post, because the season is in 2 weeks. Get your Bulldog, promo code DOGPOST, DAWGPOST. All the information is in the description below in this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the website.